to my studio. This is Colleen with Designs of Value Art, and today we're going to talk about how to create values with your colors. And I've created a chart, and it's got 6 little squares and then the next one and next one. And what we're going to do is in this first square we're going to put the color at full strength. And then we'll add a little bit of water, we'll add a little more water, and so on. And I just want to show you how easy it is to create values. Why is it important to create values? Because values create form. And without form, your paintings, your flowers, your apples, your nuts, whatever it is you're painting is going to look flat like the paper. So you want to have as many values as you can. So I'm just going to do a blue one here, and I'm not going to bore you to tears and make you watch me do all 3 of these, but you'll get the idea as I go down. I haven't had my surgery yet, so I can go ahead and do this quick. Just going to put in the color. Really like these paints. They've got a great texture to them. They're pretty smooth. I was impressed with that. I would say they're on the same level of smoothness as Cardinal is, and Cardinal actually has honey in their paints for that purpose, to have a smooth set down and delivery as you go ahead and paint. And that's important, especially if you're doing botanicals or flowers of some sort, and you want your petals to be nice and smooth, and then you add your details and texture and so forth. But yeah, if you don't start out with a smooth paint, you're going to have a problem creating that smooth texture. And especially somebody like myself that absolutely loves cold pressed paper. I just like the tooth to it. I like the way it grabs the paint. Hot press is just a little too slick for me. I feel like I'm painting on Bristol. So that's not the way I want to paint. So now what do we need to do here to create the next value? And we'll adjust these as we go, because I'm not going to get the very next value correct and right off the bat. Oh, yep, see, could use some more water. And that's kind of nice too, because now I can just add some water in to this value. This is just a good study, especially with new paints like this. It could be just your old paints that you're used to using, like Winsor & Newton or something. And it just shows you how you can create the values you're looking for. Say you're doing a leaf, and you need a whole bunch of different values. It's a golden leaf, like we're going to be seeing a lot of pretty quick here. They're all laying on the ground, unfortunately. Actually, I think that one needs a little bit more value to it, a little darker value. And this is how you would do it on your, again, your scratch piece of paper that you're testing over the design. If you need to add a little bit more color to it, add a little bit more color to it. If you need to add a little bit more water, add a little bit more water. But you want to have those values to create that form. So it's important. So there. Now, add just a little bit more water to that. This is a pretty color. Just trying to think if it's the cerulean. No, it's cobalt blue. This is a pretty color. I like this. This would be a good color underneath those dark leaves that you want a nice shine. This would give them a nice shine with the green around it. It would hold up to that green value around it. Now you can do this with every single one of your colors or just the colors that you use on a regular basis. I'm going to add just a little bit more color to that. A little bit too light, too quick. And values, if you're building a value scale like this, one thing I learned when I was in oils, so you don't want your values too far apart. Unfortunately, with the oils, you had to blend them together. And we do with the watercolors too, but not like we did pat blending with the oils. So if we had our values too far apart, you worked on them and worked on them and worked on them to make them blend together. And sometimes they just never did blend together appropriately because your values were too far apart. So you want them to be fairly close together in value. Add some more water to this. And in watercolors, if you want the value to be lighter, you can always glaze your area with water, which I always like to do anyway, because it's just wet into wet and it's so much easier to pick up color if you need to, or add details if you need to. A bit more water. And watercolors will dry anywhere from 20 to 25% lighter than when they're wet. And a little bit more water. We're getting there. This is the last square here. This would have been a good square to add water to first, just because it's going to be the lightest. But see how close the values are? They don't jump real far from each other, which again makes your leaf, or if you're doing a blue bowl or whatever, exactly, it creates that form exactly the way you want it to. So there we go. That's how you create a value scale in watercolors. And I can see it on screen as I look at my camera, and it gets darker and then lighter, 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 and lighter all the way down. So it's a real good way to get to know your colors, how they work together. Now I would probably go ahead and do a yellow and a red here and do the primary colors, and you can kind of see how that's going to look. But first I want to, we're not going to finish that, but I do want to show you this other book that I bought. And this one was published in 2023, so it's got a little bit newer things in it. It's published by Crowwood Press, and I believe that's in the UK, right? I think forget the name of it, Search something. Searchlight, I think it is over there too, publishing house. But this is Crowwood, and this is written by Jarni Godwin, and I do believe I found her on YouTube, and she has some of the most beautiful designs. I was just blown away. Drawing and composition, working with watercolor, different colors, and she goes over color theory, painting what you see, and then she goes in step by step, painting buds, painting leaves and stems, painting flowers, painting decay on the flowers, which that's important because they do decay, and I think they're just as beautiful that way as they are when they're fresh and new. And then she goes into painting fruits and seeds and how to find your own style and moving on. And she also gives you some ideas on further reading that you can increase your skills. So she shows you how she does her drawings. She draws, I think she starts out right on Bristol. But being a botanical artist, you do, especially the UK is where the botanical arts started, but they do get very involved with absolute preciseness of that flower. Because back in the day when this was started, and many years ago, they didn't have cameras, they didn't have different ways to snap a picture like your cell phones, etc. Drawing them accurately was the only way that they could preserve what that flower was. So she's got some really gorgeous things in here. She's showing you how to draw your leaves, all of those things. And this is actually a, hopefully you can see it, a item that will, they call them dividers, but you can measure. This is the true leaf that she's working from live, and she's measuring between the veins, all of that. She's measuring how big the leaf is right on the whole leaf itself. So very detailed. Here's some buds that she's doing. Talks about her negative space, talks about center of interest and how to find a good center of interest. Here she's with this flower. She starts out with this being her center of interest, and where does the eye go? When you look at this flower, it goes right around in a circle and comes back down to that stem and those leaves. So it's really got some good ideas. She's got the golden mean, which is your thirds, to take your design and break it down into thirds and then pick your center of interest, which for this one I believe she probably would have chose this area. And it's never one item for your center of interest. It's going to be leaves, petals, that type of thing. It's never just one item as a center of interest. So keep that in mind. A lot of different flowers in here that she goes over. Her buds, how to create these little tiny, I want to say veins, but that's not right. On the side of the flower there. Just gorgeous, some of the things that she's got going on in here. She also has some onions, but she does some really beautiful designs. And she breaks it all down into watercolors and how to use the watercolors. She shows you how to break down a flower. If you're working with live flowers and you have an extra one, you can cut it in half and see what the inside of that flower looks like, and it helps you to draw a better flower. So it's really an interesting book. All the different things here. She's got a cherry, orchids, many irises, many different beautiful things that she paints in here. And just being a 2-year-old book is really kind of nice because you're getting her most up-to-date info out of that book. However, like I said, you can get an older book and learn quite a few things from it. Techniques and things come and go. It's just like your clothing styles, they come and go, and sometimes some of those older things are just as important. Here she's cut that flower in half and showing you how the inside of that flower looks and that type of thing. So it's really got some interesting ideas to follow in here. She does do like a little still life here, and again, it's all about botanical art, which is just lovely because I'm a major flower person. She does a lot of buds for you and different things. So take a look at this one. It is Jarnie, Jarnie Godwin, Vibrant Botanical Painting, The Life of Plants in Watercolor. So I would recommend, if you're into studying art as well as painting, then this would be an outstanding book for you. Here you got some acorns, all different kinds of techniques that she's got in here. Well, hopefully I piqued your interest on some of these things today. I hope that you'll go ahead and do a value chart on your colors and get to know the ones that you use the most. We all end up with our favorite colors, so at least do it with the ones that you use the most, and you'll get to know your colors a whole lot better. And again, I won't be painting for a while because I have to have surgeries, but I wanted to get you some things out there anyway, as best I can without painting, unfortunately, for a while. But thank you for joining me today. Be sure and check me out at Patreon. I have many different classes on there that you can buy classes. Some of the classes I have set up that you can just buy as a class. Otherwise, you can join my group. I have $5, $10, and $15 tiers that you can choose from. Thank you again. Have a lovely day.